Have you ever driven by a car dealership and seen rows upon rows of shiny new vehicles basking in the sun, yet it seems as though nobody is buying them? You're not alone in wondering what ultimately happens to those unsold cars. After all, we're talking about thousands, if not tens of thousands, of vehicles representing billions of dollars in potential revenue. Yet they sit there, day after day, with windshields plastered with price stickers and marketing slogans. Despite the common assumption that every car on the lot is sure to find a new owner quickly, many remain idle far longer than you might expect. In some cases, dealers are even stuck with them for months or years. It's not all doom and gloom for these unsold cars, though. They rarely stay languishing forever. Each has its own potential fate, shaped by a complex network of dealership financing, manufacturer incentives, inter-dealership trades, auctions, and even eventual scrapping. By exploring these pathways, you can learn how the automotive market really operates, and, if you're a potential buyer, how you might capitalize on the situation. In this video, we'll delve deep into the hidden life cycle of unsold cars in the United States, unraveling why they pile up, how dealers manage them, and the mechanisms in place to keep the automotive industry in constant motion. We'll also touch on potential future outcomes, especially under shifting economic conditions, and provide some actionable tips if you're in the market for a new or nearly new vehicle. Car inventory backlogs aren't new, but current market conditions have pushed them to eye-catching levels for some models. For instance, take the Dodge Charger. Recent figures indicate over 6,800 unsold Chargers are stuck on dealership lots, with an average market day supply of around 312 days. In simpler terms, if no additional Chargers arrived, it would take nearly a year for those 6,800 vehicles to clear out at the current pace of sales. Other models are in a similar situation. The Ford Bronco, once hyped as a nostalgic comeback of an iconic SUV, has faced challenges meeting the public's expectations or budgets. The Infiniti QX80, a luxury SUV, similarly struggles to move off the lot, sometimes sitting for long stretches. Meanwhile, mainstream vehicles like the Ford Escape continue to balloon in inventory, with some data suggesting dealerships across the nation sit on roughly 58,000 unsold units, translating to a half-year or more in excess supply. These slow-selling models raise questions. Why aren't price drops alone enough to clear them out quickly? Are manufacturers overproducing? And what happens once these surplus cars reach a certain threshold of financial pain for the dealership? One big factor behind excessive inventory is the delicate and imperfect art of sales forecasting. Automakers often rely on past trends, market research, and consumer studies to predict how many units of a model they can sell. But sudden economic shifts, like spikes in interest rates, a pandemic, or changes in consumer preferences, can render these forecasts obsolete. When gasoline prices drop, consumers might shift en masse to trucks and SUVs, leaving smaller sedans neglected. Conversely, if gas prices soar or environmental concerns rise, those same trucks and SUVs become harder to move. Electric vehicle (EV) production can also swing unpredictably as automakers rush to meet future demand, only to discover the current consumer appetite may not align with the number of vehicles rolling off production lines. The automotive industry is a colossal machine. Once the assembly lines start churning out a vehicle, it's not easy to hit the brakes if forecasts prove wrong. The result? New cars pile up at dealership lots, creating a scenario where thousands of unsold vehicles become a financial drag. The dealership financing model. Why unsold cars hurt. Why dealers don't technically own the inventory, but pay for it. A common misconception. Many believe dealers simply receive their inventory on consignment, only paying the manufacturer after a sale. The reality is more complicated. Dealerships typically finance or floor plan their inventory. That means they take out a loan, often from a captive finance arm of the manufacturer or from a specialized lender, to pay for the cars up front. Each car on the lot accrues interest until it's sold. Consequently, every day a car sits unsold costs the dealership money. It's racking up interest, insurance, and storage costs. When economic conditions tighten, such as when interest rates rise, those financing costs become even more burdensome. If a $100,000 truck languishes for months, it's a significant hit to the dealer's bottom line. They can't simply return it to the manufacturer and say, "Sorry, nobody wants this." They're stuck with it unless they find a creative way to offload it. Most dealerships aim to rotate their inventory within 60 to 90 days. This window helps them minimize interest payments and free up space for newer models. Once a car lingers beyond that threshold, the dealership typically faces a tough decision: cut the price, add incentives, or try other tactics to move it before those carrying costs erase any potential profit. Dealerships have a few well-traveled routes when faced with an overstocked lot. Each tactic aims to reduce financial strain, maintain brand value, or, in the worst-case scenario, recoup at least some portion of the initial investment. Tactic 1: Discounts and incentives. The simplest and most common approach: lower the price. When a car isn't selling, dealerships begin offering bigger and bigger discounts. These could be anything from a straightforward price cut to more creative methods like cash back offers, a direct rebate that slashes the effective purchase price. 0% or low-interest financing, especially enticing when broader market interest rates are high. Lease specials, reduced monthly payments with better terms, shifting the cost burden to the back end. Bundle deals, free maintenance packages, extended warranties, or trade-in bonuses. Manufacturers themselves might pitch in with dealer cash or additional incentives to help move a model that's not hitting sales targets. For example, if the Ford Escape is collecting dust across the country, Ford may offer dealers extra marketing support or deeper discounted finance terms to entice customers. Often, these deals are well advertised in hopes of drumming up foot traffic, or click traffic, in the case of online shopping. A key point on profit margins. Even though dealers make money from various avenues, like service and financing products, they still rely heavily on car sales margins. When too many discounts accumulate, profit margins shrink drastically. Yet, it can still be preferable to let the car go at a thin margin, or even at a slight loss, rather than watch interest costs continue to climb. Tactic 2: Turning new into pre-owned. Sometimes discounting a new car still isn't enough to catch a buyer's eye. At that point, some dealerships shift gears, pun intended. They'll move a new car into their loaner or demo fleet. Here's how it works. 1. The car, fresh from the factory, has been sitting unsold for a long time. 2. The dealership designates it as a loaner for customers whose cars are in for service. 3. Over a few weeks or months, the car accumulates enough miles, though usually not much, to qualify legally as used. Suddenly, a freshly built, low-mileage vehicle can now be sold as pre-owned or certified pre-owned if it meets certain criteria. By rebranding the car this way, dealers can reposition the price. Used car buyers often look specifically for deals they can't get in the new car category. The small bit of mileage reduces the sticker price, making the vehicle more attractive while still retaining most of its original factory warranty. In some cases, dealership employees might drive these cars for personal use as demo vehicles, returning them after a set period. The net result is similar: a slightly used car that can be advertised differently. Ironically, these nearly new vehicles often fetch a price closer to the actual market demand, moving faster off the lot than if they remained labeled as brand new at a higher sticker price. Tactic 3: Trading among dealerships. One of the lesser-known but highly effective strategies is inter-dealership trading. Demand isn't uniform across all regions. A car with lukewarm interest in the Midwest might be in higher demand on the West Coast, or vice versa. Dealerships harness this geographic discrepancy by swapping inventory. A dealership in a colder climate might be stuck with an abundance of convertibles or performance coupes that sell better in warmer states. A dealership in a warmer region might have slow-moving AWD SUVs that are more desirable in snow-prone regions. Through direct negotiations or via manufacturer-supported platforms, dealers can arrange trades. Each side benefits by offloading vehicles that aren't selling locally, trading them for something that might have a better shot in their specific market. While these trades can involve extra shipping costs, those expenses are often lower than continuing to pay interest on cars that simply won't move. Tactic 4: The auction path. If none of the above tactics work, or if a dealer is pressed to reduce inventory immediately, they often turn to auctions, the last resort for many. Automotive auctions can be broken down into two broad categories. 1. closed auctions, exclusively for franchise dealerships of the same brand. These auctions might be organized by the manufacturer, ensuring that a brand's cars remain within its dealer network, which can help maintain brand reputation and keep depreciation somewhat under control. 2. Open auctions. Any licensed dealer, regardless of brand affiliation, can participate. Prices here tend to drop more drastically, as it becomes a true free market of supply and demand. At large auction houses like Mannheim, a massive player in automotive auctions, thousands of vehicles change hands every day. Dealers typically accept that cars sold at auction go for lower than retail prices, sometimes significantly below the original invoice. However, taking a loss may still be better than letting an unpopular model gather dust. After all, interest and insurance costs continue to accumulate over time, so a prompt sale, albeit at a loss, can be the least bad option. The role of rental car companies. Rental car agencies are known to be major buyers at these auctions. If you've ever rented a car that felt practically brand new, there's a decent chance it arrived on the rental lot via an auction after lingering too long at a dealership. In such cases, the rental company often picks up the vehicle at a substantial discount. We've covered cars that actually make it onto dealership property. But what if the manufacturer foresees or quickly realizes it has built more cars than dealers can handle? Such a situation often arises when new models are overproduced or when consumer tastes shift. Rather than immediately flooding dealerships, manufacturers have a few tactics to deal with the surplus. If the manufacturer predicts demand will rebound or is simply trying to stave off a brand image problem, it might store unsold vehicles in large off-site facilities. We're talking about huge parking lots where row after row of identical cars wait for market conditions to improve or for the next wave of dealership requests. While this may look surprising, sometimes satellite images capture these car graveyards. Storing unsold cars temporarily can be more cost-effective and brand-friendly than forcing an immediate fire sale that devalues the product. There's always the risk that demand may never pick up, but automakers sometimes rely on patience, market cycles, and future incentives to eventually move these vehicles. What doesn't sell in the United States may find a more enthusiastic reception overseas. Vehicles built to certain specifications can be shipped to international markets with similar regulations, especially regarding emissions and safety. While additional costs are involved in transportation and recertification, it can be a better strategy than selling at a steep discount in the US or holding onto inventory indefinitely. In some cases, automakers plan for this from the start by designing models with universal appeal or easily adaptable configurations. That way, if demand in the US flops, the same vehicle might be quickly rebranded or reconfigured for markets in South America, Asia, or the Middle East. Destroying perfectly good new cars sounds counterintuitive, but in very rare circumstances, manufacturers decide scrapping is the better long-term financial and brand image move. Why? Selling them at fire sale prices could severely damage residual values, hurting not only the brand's reputation, but also the resale market for current owners. If a manufacturer can salvage parts or write off the losses in a tax-efficient manner, scrapping can be a strange but strategic choice, though it remains uncommon. Car buyers can be unpredictable. A model that was in hot demand a couple of years ago might lose appeal as soon as tastes shift. Consumers cycle through trends. Crossovers are in, then out. Minivans are passé, then revived as cool family rides. Automakers that bet big on the wrong body style or engine type can quickly accumulate unwanted stock. When borrowing costs were historically low, dealerships could afford to hold inventory a bit longer without panic. But when the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, those financing charges on unsold cars grow. The cost of auto loans for buyers also climbs, making higher-priced vehicles, like fully loaded trucks and SUVs, tougher sells. In recent years, supply chain disruptions, from semiconductor shortages to shipping bottlenecks, have skewed production cycles. Automakers may overproduce certain trims or underproduce others, adding an extra layer of complexity. When parts finally arrive, manufacturers sometimes rush to build vehicles they had planned months prior. only to discover consumer demand has since moved on. Brands also have to balance exclusivity with supply. For luxury or performance car makers, flooding the market with unsold models can cheapen the brand's aura. Hence, they might prefer slower production, storage, or even scrapping to maintain perceived value. Mainstream manufacturers, too, weigh the risk of tanking resale values if they drastically cut prices. A surplus of cars often triggers year-end clearance events or special factory-to-dealer incentives. Dealerships scramble to meet annual or quarterly sales targets, which can translate to deeper discounts. Paying attention to these cycles can help you spot when specific models are likely to be heavily discounted. End of the month, quarter year. Dealerships often push to hit sales quotas, so they might be more flexible on price. Model year changeovers. When the new model year is about to arrive, last year's inventory frequently gets marked down. Don't be deterred by the label used if the odometer shows just a few thousand miles. A dealer loaner might offer you a near-new experience at a sizable discount. Plus, it may still carry the bulk of its original warranty. Certified pre-owned CPO cars, in particular, can come with additional benefits, like extended warranties and roadside assistance. Many buyers focus solely on the sticker price, but overlook financing terms. If the manufacturer or dealership wants to move a certain model quickly, they might offer promotional financing rates that can save you thousands over the life of the loan. Or if you have a strong credit score, leverage that to negotiate for a lower APR or better leasing terms. If you're willing to travel or arrange vehicle transport, expanding your search radius can reveal dramatically different pricing. Models that linger in one region may be in higher demand elsewhere, so the local price might be steeper. Conversely, a dealer in another state might be desperate to clear out that same model. Online car shopping platforms allow you to filter inventory across multiple zip codes, so you can spot bargains more easily. While direct participation in auctions typically requires a dealer's license, you can watch local used car lots that source their inventory from auctions. Newly arrived models at a used car dealership might be these near-new vehicles that didn't sell elsewhere. You can sometimes get a great deal if you monitor how long they've been sitting on the used lot, too. If interest rates remain high or climb further, dealerships will be under greater pressure to move cars quickly. This scenario typically results in more aggressive discounting. However, it could also dampen consumer willingness to finance a purchase, paradoxically leading to an even bigger backlog of certain models. The increasing push toward electric vehicles, EVs, adds another layer of unpredictability. Automakers are ramping up EV production to meet anticipated demand and governmental targets. But if the EV consumer market isn't growing as swiftly as expected, we could see large numbers of EVs sitting in storage lots or on dealership floors. Conversely, if gas prices spike or environmental incentives increase, the backlog might shift to gas-powered vehicles instead. Some market analysts predict further consolidation among dealerships. Larger dealership groups might be more equipped to handle financial burdens associated with unsold cars. They can shuffle inventory among multiple locations or leverage more robust financing. Smaller, independent dealerships could struggle and even close, altering the retail landscape and potentially reducing competition in certain areas. With the rise of digital car sales platforms, dealerships might adjust ordering and stocking strategies. In the future, more consumers could order cars exactly to spec online, reducing the need for large on-lot inventories. If a car is custom-built, it arrives as soon as it's ready, rather than waiting to be discovered on a dealer's lot. This might gradually reduce the volume of unsold cars, but would also change how manufacturers and dealers plan production cycles. Before we wrap up, it's worth noting that the excess inventory scenario can sometimes take on a comedic edge, albeit more amusing for onlookers than for dealers. It's a bit like baking too many cookies for a party. Once the guests have had their fill, you're left with trays of cookies that might become stale. In the car world, stale translates to mounting interest payments and brand new vehicles that lose their brand new luster as dust accumulates on the windshields. The difference is that these cookies can cost tens of thousands of dollars each. No matter the model, brand, or price tag, Every new car eventually goes somewhere. It might sell at a steep discount on the dealership lot, end up at an auction, or find new life as a demo vehicle. Some models take a detour into long-term storage or even get shipped overseas. In extraordinary cases, they're scrapped before they hit the open road. The current market is a testament to how quickly tides can change. A vehicle once heralded as the next big thing can transform into a burden if consumer tastes shift or if economic conditions tighten. The automotive industry, with its sprawling supply chains and massive capital investments, is simultaneously robust and fragile. One wrong forecast can result in thousands of unwanted cars and thousands of anxious dealers. For potential buyers, this surplus of unsold cars can spell opportunity. Savvy shoppers who understand how dealerships operate, what incentives are available, and how to leverage auctions and inter-dealership differences can walk away with significant savings. For dealerships, managing unsold inventory effectively is a game of strategic planning, balancing short-term financing costs with long-term brand health. Actionable next steps and final thoughts. 1. Monitor incentives. Keep an eye on manufacturer websites and dealership promotions, especially around the end of each quarter or fiscal year. 2. Understand your financing. Compare rates from multiple lenders and watch for special financing deals. A lower interest rate might save more money than a bigger sticker discount. 3. Consider slightly used options. Those demo or loaner vehicles can offer a nearly new experience at a discounted price. 4. Expand your search. Regional price differences can be significant. Broaden your online search radius to spot potential deals that might be worth a short road trip or shipping cost. 5. Stay flexible. If you're open to different trims, colors, or models, you're more likely to find a dealer looking to unload exactly what they've got in stock. Finally, if you found this exploration of unsold cars enlightening, share it with someone who might benefit, perhaps a friend or family member who's looking to buy a car soon. What's the most surprising deal you've ever come across on a new or used car? Do you think current market trends will lead to even steeper discounts? Let's discuss in the comments and keep the conversation rolling.